when the Army Medical Department under Surgeon General Sternberg opened the Army Medical School in 1893. That was actually a pretty significant event because up to that time, medical corps officers had been educated outside of the Army, had been given an examination to enter the Army if they passed it, and were presumed that they didn't need further education past that. And anything that they had to do to learn their job, they would pick up on the job. The Army Medical School said, there are some things about Army medicine that are different than regular medicine. We worry about different kinds of diseases. This became more important as the Army became an expeditionary force, fighting in wars overseas and encountering diseases that we were not accustomed to in the United States.
In 1919, 100 years ago, here in San Antonio, we were dealing with a pandemic at that time as well. It was the Army who first discovered cases of what we then called the Spanish flu. The first 51, 52 cases were found at Camp Travis all in one day, and the Army was the one that actually began the quarantine here in San Antonio about 100 years ago. Now, there was no center in school back then. We weren't a medical command. However, 100 years later, we're sending staff to places like New York and other hotspots to try and take knowledge from the military and apply it to our civilian patients wherever they're needed in the country. 100 years later, we're doing the same things because they work.
On the 15th of May in 1920, the Adjutant General responded to a letter that the Surgeon General had written in April 28th, and he said the Army Medical Department was authorized to establish a medical field service school. This is the Surgeon General asking for a second school and saying, I have two separate skills that I need to teach. I need to teach doctors how to do Army medicine, which is different than civilian medicine, and I have to teach them how to be functional and professional and fully able to perform their duties in the field. And so that's really the genesis for the Medical Field Service School, is this idea that there are two aspects to military medicine that both need to be addressed in the education of officers.
Things from 100 years ago are just now getting into the psyche of the soldiers we're currently training. The other day, there was a group of them working in the museum, and of course everybody has their mask on, and we're trying to remind them, they're even reminding each other, don't get so close. And one of them finally said, so I guess we're part of a historic event, aren't we? And I said, so what are you going to do with that? And these kids for the first time said, oh my gosh, we're living this historical moment, and it's going to change the way we practice our profession. The same way that a veteran coming back will say, look at all these things I learned. I'll never have to learn those again. They're getting a practicum in public health that they could not have gotten any other place or at any other time.